Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Ned Bellavance, Ned1313 on Twitter. Welcome to the daily check in for September 4th, 2020. It's Friday, which means we're talking about HashiCorp Vault and the Vault certification. And this time we're moving on from Objective 5 to Objective 6, which is all about the Vault CLI. Now, I'm not going to be able to cover the entire objective in one video, unless you want to watch a really long video, but I do want to cover maybe the first couple things in the objective, and then I'll move on to the next part next Friday. So we're going to cover a small amount of the Vault CLI today, and that's my objective for today's video. That being said, in terms of housekeeping items, I don't really have anything. I was sort of thinking about putting together a Vault demo, maybe to kind of intersperse with all the other Vault stuff I've been doing, but maybe that'll have to wait till I finish this objective. So that will be in the wings if that is of interest to you. I'm curious to hear what you might be struggling with when it comes to HashiCorp Vault, or questions you might have outside of this certification discussion. So that is probably a topic for another time, but I did want to throw that in there. Before we talk about today's topic, let's check in. How are you? How's it going? Did you make it through the week okay? It's not quite over. I know that. I know it's still like midday Friday, or if you're on like the West Coast, it's like beginning of the day Friday, and you're like, oh, one more day, gotta slog through. But I know you can do it. And maybe this is giving you a little respite during the day. And you know what? If you're over in Europe, you're already done, man. Go have a drink. Enjoy yourself, or whatever your, preferred thing of choice is. Go do that. And, this video will be waiting for you later. Anyway, so let's get into the topic for today. We are talking about the Vault CLI. Okay, so let me talk about what the objective is and the sub-objectives, and then we'll dive into some practical demos of what's going on. Okay, so to start with, the high-level objective is utilize Vault CLI. So obviously, we're going to be using the command line interface for Vault to interact with an instance of Vault. Sounds good? And what are the sub-objectives? Okay, so we've got authenticate to Vault. That's pretty important if you want to do anything that's not operator specific or like startup specific for Vault. There are a couple things you can do prior to logging in, but they all have to do with when the Vault is sealed, and you need to unseal it before you can use it. But that's probably a topic for another objective, so we're not going to dive into that. So first thing, authenticate to Vault, get logged in so you can get a token and start interacting with Vault. Very important. Second one is configure authentication methods. Okay, so if you want to use anything that's not the root token, you're going to need to configure some kind of authentication method. Number 3, configure Vault policies. So there's a whole command line structure for that. 4 is access Vault secrets. 5 is enable secrets engines, which seems backwards because you probably want to enable the secrets engine if you're going to be accessing secrets in the engine, but whatever. And then finally, configure environment variables, which I think should go at the front. So let's start with utilizing the Vault CLI. Let's just start with a primer on the Vault CLI itself and some of these environment variables, and then we can get into authentication and all that kind of stuff. So this is just going to be a primer. I might not even get to sub-objective 6A on this one. Let's see how far I get. All right, so I am going to switch over to share my screen now. There we go. Okay, so here's the screen, and I already have an instance of Vault server running in a separate terminal. So I ran the, if I scroll up here, you can see the command. It's vault server -dev. That's all you need to do, get an instance of Vault server up and running in your environment just to test out. It's all in memory, so when you stop this process, anything you've done is gone. So probably important to bear that in mind if you want to do anything and have it persist after a reboot or killing this process. But for dev purposes and demo purposes, this is like perfect, right? Okay. So I've done that, and it spits out some interesting information for you at the end. Now, it detected I'm on a Windows system, so it's trying to be helpful, and it says, hey, I want you to set the Vault address environment variable. Okay, so now we're getting into environment variables. I want you to set this environment variable vault_addr to this address. And when you use the Vault CLI, it's going to look for that environment variable to know how to reach out and talk to the Vault server. Okay, awesome. Now, if I'm running Linux instead of Windows, it's simply an export command instead of using this PowerShell set environment variable command. So either way is fine. The next thing you'll see is the unseal key. And the unseal key, because this is a dev instance, it actually is already unsealed. But if you wanted to practice sealing the vault and unsealing it, you have the unseal key to do that. And then finally, the root token. The root token is your only way to log into Vault to do anything when you first spin up an instance of Vault server. Okay, so far, hopefully all this makes sense. Let's go over to my second command line, and I'm running Windows subsystem for Linux, so I can just type in Linux commands because I find that overall the Vault CLI is a little friendlier when it comes to Linux than Windows. So I mean, that is what it is, right? Okay, so the first thing, let's just type Vault, and it gives us all of the commands that exist within the Vault CLI. Some of these are more common than others. So for instance, one of the things it's giving us is that common commands are like read, write, delete, list. Those all sound very familiar, and very importantly, you have Vault login. So if you want to log into the Vault server, and that's probably the first thing you're going to do Vault login, and then you can either specify a type of login, or you can just do Vault login. It'll assume you have a token, and it'll ask you for that token value. So for instance, if I simply type Vault login, it'll prompt me for a token, and I can go over to this screen, and I'm going to copy this root token value and paste it in here, and I'll say, awesome, you are now authenticated using that root token. If you don't want to go through that, you can actually set the environment variable vault_token to a value, and Vault will just look for that. And that will override anything that you specify in Vault login. So that's good to know. That's a useful tip. And now we're up to 2 environment variables. We're killing this. All right. Now let's explore the CLI a little bit more. So again, I'm going to run Vault, and we looked at the common commands. There's a few others there. And a common one is Vault status. So what's the status of my Vault server? And this gives me a lot of useful information, like what type of seal, whether or not the Vault server has been initialized, if it's sealed or not, what version I'm running. So a lot of useful information from Vault status. So that is good to know. Now, if you want to get help about a particular subcommand, you can type that subcommand. So let's say I wanted more information about the list command, because I saw that was in common things. I can do -H, and that will give me all of the helpful information. And that's pretty common for CLIs, right? That's not going to be a surprise to you if you've used CLIs at all. And there's obviously a lot of information in here about how Vault list might work. Now, if we wanted to get a list of all the secrets engines that have been enabled, we can do Vault secrets list, and that'll spit out a list of all the secrets engines that are available. And we can see that the secret engine, the key value secrets engine, is enabled by default, and it's on the path secret. We can see that down here. And so if we want to write a secret to that, we actually have to use Vault KV. You might think, hey, there was that command Vault write, but if I do Vault write and I try to write to a path on here, say secret taco, and I'll set fave equal to bean, it's going to throw an error. And that's because this is the key value store version 2, which requires that you use Vault KV, because there's actually some more information in there around the metadata that the regular write command doesn't know about. So that's a fun little tip. And also, it seems awkward, but it is the way you have to do it. And it kind of tells you here. So now if I run this command, Vault KV put, so put a value in the secrets and set favorite to bean, boom, it does it. And it spits out some information, because this is version 2 of the key value store. And that's another topic. If I want to get the information out, I can use KV get and specify the secret. And there we go. It gives me my key value that I stored at that secret's path. Now, let's say you're looking for help about a particular path, because the thing to remember about Vault is everything in Vault is a path, because it's really just an abstraction of the API that's underneath it. So it's basically taking the full path for the API and trimming off some of it, and that's what it uses for the Vault CLI. So that's a good way to think about it. So if I need help along a particular path, let's say I don't know a lot about the key value secrets engine. I want to get some help with that. And what can I do at this path? There's a really handy dandy command called Vault Path Help. And then you just give the path you need help with. So if I do that, it spits out, hey, here's some additional paths and what they do. So if I scroll up, one of the important ones here is if I want to configure anything about this key value store, there's this path called config. And if I want to know more about that path, I can just append it to my existing path and it'll tell me, hey, there's some values you can set within this path, things like max versions. Okay, that's cool. Maybe I want to set my max versions to a different than the standard. So if I use the read command of what is there in that configuration now, I can see max versions is set to 0. So let's run this write command, vault write secret config max versions 10, and hit enter. And then we can just check and make sure that that setting has taken. So what do we learn here? We've learned that there's this path help thing that can help us figure out what options are available when we enable a secrets engine, when we enable an authentication method, when we do any number of different things that are part of configuring Vault. Path help can help us figure out what the available paths and configuration values are for any given path. That is like super helpful. Now, we've gotten about as far as we can get today when it comes to the Vault CLI. And this is just the primer on what the Vault CLI is, how you can get help about various components of the Vault CLI. And then next week, we're going to get into the first real sub-objective, which was Vault authentication methods. We'll see how we enable an authentication method and then how we use that authentication method and how we can configure values about that authentication method all through the CLI. So that will all be next week, next Friday. So I know that was a lot of information, bully for you for sticking in and wow, that sounded weird. Congratulations on getting to the end of the video. I don't know why I tried to go UK. That was weird. Congratulations on getting to the end of the video. Thank you for watching today. That does it for me for this week. Until next week, stay healthy, stay safe, everybody. Thanks for watching.